final picture that describes what a man brings when we enable them to think big and expect big things from God and themselves. When somebody possesses wings, they are free to explore and to plumb the depth of their own potential. When mentors give wings, they help mentees to soar to new heights in their lives. Consequently, it's as important to teach those mentees how to ask the question as much as how to obtain the answers.
Okay, wonderful. So they need to be given wings, right? That they may be able to fly. In other words, don't siphon them. Just allow them to fly, right? Just allow them to fly. Give them that ability to think big. To think big. Just imagine we have people that think big, you know, that are not limited by what's around them, but they see beyond the physical and they see beyond what is actually around them. You know, they dream big. And there's that word right there, to plumb the depths. What does that mean? What is to plumb? What is to plumb?
What?
Plumb. Yes.
I think to sink down,
Sink. Yeah, it's a good definition. I in the concept, yeah, there's a concept to it which is somehow okay, but to plumb is actually aiming high. But then maybe if I'm to understand your sense, I think it's a good definition from that particular, from your sense. I'm getting your sense. But to plumb is actually to aim high. Let's have, for example, okay, let's have Jesus example of mentoring. Who's going to read for us that one? Yes.
Jesus faced the task of changing the lives of people thousands of years after him, and he succeeded. He did it without writing any books, building any schools, or founding any institution. So if Jesus chose to deposit his legacy in people, we should learn his method and practice. We should learn his method and practice it as best as we can. In the Bible, we find the ideal model of a mentor to follow Jesus, the master teacher. The following is how he did it.
Wonderful. I think the most powerful investment anyone can ever make in this life is when you invest in people. Remember, that's actually the topic for this lesson, isn't it? The wisest investment that you will ever make. That's actually mentoring leaders. The greatest investment is actually investing in people. The greatest investment is investing in people. And that's exactly what Jesus did. Jesus invested in people. And this, it's not necessarily saying building schools is a bad thing. Or is it saying writing books is a bad thing. But he's simply letting us know that if we can ever invest in anything, let us invest in people. Let us invest in people. And the apostle kept on saying yesterday that the only thing that you would take to heaven are souls. Amen. The only thing you take to heaven are souls. That's the only thing you take to heaven. And that is the greatest investment anyone can ever make. And that is investing in souls. Amen. You need to invest in people. That's the greatest investment. So number one right there, we say, let's write instruction. Where there's a blank space, you write instruction in a life-related context. And then let's have someone read for us the lower portion of that. Okay, it's fine. You can read.
Jesus constantly taught, most often with parables, and discussed hundreds of issues with the 12. When the disciples would speak him the meaning of a parable, he explained it, revealing insightful truth wrapped in a story. While his mentoring was so much more than words, it did indeed involve careful instructions on his part. Jesus climbed the mountain with his disciples and taught them. Matthew 5 verse 1.
So Jesus didn't just speak, he also gave instructions. He taught, and as much as he taught, he also gave instructions. Right? So as a mentor, you also need to give instructions. Right? You need to be instructive, you need to give instructions. So right now, number 2, let us write the word demonstration. Demonstration. Who's going to read for us the lower part of that? Alison.
Educational philosophy today relies too heavily on instructions. If Jesus had taught the disciples and done nothing more, they would have never carried out his legacy. But Jesus shared his life with them and deliberately gave the disciples his life as an example to watch. He knew they would learn faster if he showed them, not just told them. He taught with his life. Should I read the scripture?
Yes, sure.
For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. John 18:15.
This particular portion reminds me of a time, with Apostle Charles Cherisari, where we would, like during lunchtime, I think we'll do this on a Thursday. I'm not sure how often we used to do this, but during lunchtime with Apostle Charles, what we do is we would leave the church office, lock up our offices, and then we go out. And we go out into the streets to tell people about Jesus. In other words, notice, Apostle Charles didn't say, you guys are supposed to go out to go and evangelize. You're supposed to go out and tell people about Jesus. But guess what? He was an apostle. And he would go out. We would all go out. We would all lock up our offices during lunchtime. And we go into the streets. And we begin to tell people about Jesus. With the apostle. Apostle going onto the streets, stopping people. And telling them about Jesus. What he was doing is he was demonstrating. He wasn't just telling us to do it. He was also doing it. Right? He wasn't delegating it to say, oh, you guys go and do it. But we would do it together with him. We'll do it together with him. And so when you then see us do it, now, it's not something that we invented by ourselves. It's something that we learned from someone who used to do it better. Amen. I was just reminded of that, when I was looking, it's like, wow, we used to have wonderful times with the men of God. As we would go out with the men of God to witness, and he would demonstrate to us how it is done. So imagine being mentored by one of the best. That would be really great. So right now, I want you to write experience. Number 3, I want you to write experience. So who is going to read the lower part of that? Who's going to read the lower part of that? The same people. Mr. Schwam, you'd like to read?
Okay. After Jesus had modeled good leadership and taught spiritual truths, he did not turn his men loose and move on. He gradually worked on them into position of independent leadership by giving them valuable experience. Jesus transfers transferred the responsibility he felt for advancing God's kingdom to his mentees, which are disciples. Jesus gave his followers an opportunity to practice what he had taught and to practice leadership. He gave them all ownership for the ministry through delegation and authority. And we given a verse here that says he called the 12 to himself and began to send them out 2 by 2 and gave them power over unclean spirits. Mark 6:7.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, thank you so much. So yeah, experience. You see, you need to work together with the person, developing that particular person as they gain experience. And when I look at it, to some extent, our church happens to be a perfect example of this. And Apostle Charles happens to be a perfect example of someone who would actually do this particular thing. In other words, it wasn't just something in the morning, it's something that he exercised, isn't it? Because when you look at it, you will realize that before the apostle went to be with the Lord, though he knew he was going to depart the earth very soon, guess what he did? He branched out and gave people responsibilities, gave ministers responsibilities in different parts of the community, in different parts of the city. And in a way, he was giving them experience. And I mean, oftentimes you would see him come, isn't it? He would come and he would sit down. He wouldn't even preach or do anything. He would just come, he sits down, he watches how you guys are doing it. Because what is he doing? That's mentoring. Sitting down and getting to observe and seeing people do exactly the very same things that you have been teaching them over a very long period of time. Right? The man would do that. That's a perfect example of mentorship and seeing people develop an experience, even as you observe them. So yeah, that's really beautiful right there. So number 4, let us write assessment. Assessment. Who's going to read for us? Yes.
Jesus repeatedly evaluated the progress of his disciples. After the return of the 70, he debriefed them, gave them instruction concerning priorities, and celebrated with them. Luke 10, verse 72. He also gave individual assessment to his disciples, including specific feedback concerning their character and their capabilities. Once he trusted them with tasks, he knew they would need accountability on their performance. Nevertheless, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subjects to you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven. Luke 10, verse 20. The beautiful part about these principles is that every one of us can apply them. They are transferable concepts that anyone in any generation, in any location can practice. If you want to leave a legacy, you must look for people to carry it for you. Find the right people and use the right preparation process for each of them. Only as you pour yourself into them will they be able to pour out themselves for others. No one can give what he does not give.
And people think it's the duty of a pastor, isn't it? They think, oh, that's what the pastor must be doing. But then this right here is saying anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. It's transferable. It's a concept, it's a principle that anybody can use. It's a principle that anybody can use. Thank you. It's a principle that anybody can use. So let us be of that mind that we all can do this. We all can develop people. We all can develop. Let us, so if we all can do it, then how to get started let's have someone read number 1, how to get started. Or should I just have people reading one? It says that at least someone gets a mark, right? So let's start with mom, and then it says that everyone gets a mark. So number 1.
Pray for God to help you on the vision from mentoring other leaders.
Select a potential mentee or a group of mentees from your circle of influence.
Yes, you're supposed to be reading another 3.